roll call. Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Here. Make a motion that we excuse the members that are not here. They gave us advance notice.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Agenda additions. I put all the follow-ups from last week on the agenda already, so hopefully not too many additions.
I haven't seen it.
We good with it as is? All right. Approval of the minutes. I didn't inspect, so let me look. Oh, yeah, motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's see what we got here.
I'm gonna send you those down as are just other things for today.
Perfect. We got so many papers today, guys.
Awesome.
Who needs trees? All right, did anybody see anything that needed to be addressed with the meeting minutes?
I was good with it. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda meetings for March 18, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Call the public. Nobody's here. Come join us, those online. Come join us. All right, so we got all sorts of follow-ups, or new business. We're just gonna move right into the follow-ups because we've got lots, and I think this is where we'll spend most of tonight's agenda. So first was Mr. Newman with Flat Bottom Boat.
Yeah, so I brought up a couple of different examples I laid out in front of you for options to accomplish our goose egg nest construction. Purchase of a vessel that would work. Obviously, don't want to go too big. Obviously, we have to have of a certain size just so it can hold the weight of two bodies and a trolling motor and all that. I gave three options from high point to low. So a standard 10-foot john boat is pretty much the average price, goes for about $1,600. This one right here from Cabela's was $1,570. That would be for an aluminum style one. Now, we did look into some of the polymer options as well. So similar size, shape, still able to carry like 450, 500 pounds. So you can put two adults in there and everything. You're looking at one option for Tractor Trailer Supply for $699, $700, and then Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's actually has one for $600. So anyway you look at it, it looks like you're at least $600. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you want to go all out.
And we need to get, like, when we did this, we had a little electric motor we buzzed around.
So it looks like a trolling motor and a battery is going to put you on average about $500. And then, of course, a set of oars, life jackets, you're looking at another $150, $200.
Okay.
So all in all, whichever one you like, an option, add another $700 to outfit it.
Mhm. And then, I guess, was this at all discussed at council or no? No, right? Okay. It's strictly
I've
for
been
budget.
kidding about my leaky old boat, but I'll check it. If you're willing to wait a month.
I do have an 8-foot little john boat.
Yeah, I don't know, this is 10 or 12.
Yeah, I think this is for the purposes of budgeting right now. Although it would obviously be great to be able to use it this year because we don't have one. I'm gonna have to go get one.
Not going to get it approved in time and all that.
Maybe that'll be possible for next year. So I guess,
You want to go more advanced option?
no, to me, I basically, in the past, we basically tooled around with the pontoon, right, or somebody's personal boat, and then we needed something to get off and get into the areas where the geese are, right? So this doesn't, I don't think we're gonna get something that can do the whole thing, right? Because it's too far to travel. You'd end up needing a gas engine boat or something. So the way we've been doing it, which I think is fairly effective, is little electric something to just scoot in to all the different areas and take care of business. So that's what I was looking for. This is kind of, the cheapest possible thing we could do is sufficient because I don't think we're going to use it for much else. I don't know if there's other uses. So then it's a question of whether we want to, if we're going to keep doing the goose thing, none of us have one of these to do it with, right? Any one of these, right? We basically say we want to do it. We want to do the goose thing. And we technically
Give me
can't.
2 weeks, okay?
Yeah,
Because it's been upside down, it's a metal boat.
yeah.
I've got a Minn Kota, electric, obviously, and I've got batteries. and I'll try, and I got oars.
Yeah.
I just am too old to fit in, get in and out of that thing anymore. But
Yeah,
if you're
so,
willing-
so last time we talked about putting like just $2,000 line item in the budget, which to me, something cheap, the cheapest possible one with the cheapest possible thing, we should be able to get that done for 2,000.
I think $2,000
So
is
to me,
more
for
than
the purposes of budgeting, this is not gonna happen, we're not gonna have this for this year anyway, right? So you go figure out if yours is acceptable. We could figure out if we're gonna go buy something or not, but this was strictly a budgeting exercise. We threw a dart at $2,000 all in. This looks like that would cover that with the cheapest possible option. So it's not a money spend right now, it's just put a placeholder in the budget, and then we could figure out if we need to do it. So from the budget perspective, I'll just keep the $2,000 placeholder in there. All right. Any other questions on this? Let's go figure out if yours is any good, or if it's suitable. Maybe we can use that instead, but at least we can just keep this in a budget item. All right, the next thing was the fish habitat plan. Looks like you got a bunch of stuff here. Let's
All
talk
right,
about that.
I did my homework.
All right.
Put in a lot of research. I shared with you, Ryan, I found a publication through the DNR on the fish sticks.
Mhm.
I shared that with you.
Yeah,
I reached out to the DNR, got no response back, so I resorted to going to various communities that had lakes and searched like all different type of fish habitat approval. The fish sticks is nothing more than like a downed tree.
yeah.
Like you can't put it where there's a seawall, it's on natural
Yeah.
shoreline, and you put the tree in the water and you either stake it down or you cable it to like a stump on the shore. Those are still viewed as the most popular choices because they're least invasive, they're on the shore, they don't interfere with boats. Typically fishermen aren't snagging on those because it's extending from the shoreline. My question for us is like, we have very little natural shoreline.
Yeah.
And second of all, where are we gonna get a tree?
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, it seems like the ideal thing would, you'd have natural shoreline, you just cut a tree down on the shore and then stake it. Still the most favorable option, but I don't know how applicable it is to us. So then I looked right down Ryan's list he provided with us. These are called fish trees. I looked at many, many different kinds, tried to find pros and cons for all of them. So the best ones for fish habitat are what they call wood stacks, which is you literally would just build like a lattice, looks like a teepee, but those are frowned upon from fishermen. Like those, if you snag on that, it's just gone. Like, I mean, there's no getting your lure out, like they're not viewed as real popular by them. So the PVC ones, like I've supplied there, these seem to be the best of all the worlds in terms of cost. They're not very invasive in terms of, you know, things don't get snagged on them as much as if it was wood. You put them deep enough that it wouldn't interfere with boats. And this design, when I first looked at it and I saw the drainage pipe down there, I was trying to figure out why you would put those odd looking things on there. But those, algae grows on those. So like eventually with this type of tree, the algae is, grows on that drainage tube, which is where like the, microvertebrates live, which provide food for like the younger fish, things like that. So that's what the black tube is for. And then obviously, this is nothing more than 4-inch drainage pipe in a 5-gallon bucket of cement. And then that's 1/2-inch PVC pipe just drilled through to create the trees. So I looked at those and I did a little cost, you know, I priced everything out at Home Depot. So like this is for 2. Like if for every 2 of those, you're looking at about $81. You know, that's 60 pounds of cement, 2 5-gallon buckets, 20 feet of drainage pipe, 20 feet of 1/2-inch PVC, and then 10 feet of 4-inch PVC, which is the tower. You put that all together, $81.72. You would have to put those, typically they like to be on drop-offs, deep enough that you don't have to worry about boats going over top of them. The plastic doesn't degrade. If you're going with a fish tree, that's probably our best option. The other one that Ryan prepared for us was gravel trays, is what they were called. And it's an entirely different, you're trying to accomplish something completely different than with the fish tree. The fish tree is, you're literally trying to create habitat for the fish to live in and structure for them to hide from predators in. The gravel tray is to provide spawning. So one thing our lake lacks is areas for fish to spawn. In fact, when I had the fish stocker out for the walleye, I asked him how many of them will survive, things like that. And what he said is, in our lake, the fish we put in are the entire population. So like the walleye we put in don't reproduce in our lake because the ground is too mucky. They can't make their nests. So like if we put 1,000 walleye in, that's it. Like they're not making baby ones. So something like this, now this is more for panfish and bass, but you buy the tray and then you literally just take bags of small pea gravel and you fill those in.
Is tray literally just a plastic lid?
It's basically a plastic lid. But that's a 6-pack and it's pretty
But it's
big.
still more than $100.
Yeah, I know.
I just put that in there because I
Sure.
found one instead
Yeah.
of trying to cost analysis, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't find plans for one, but when I searched it, this was actually the cheapest one.
Yeah.
These are not invasive to fishermen or boaters at all, because these literally go in shallow water, like up near the shore, where like the fish would go, you can see bluegill beds in our lake,
Yeah.
if you've ever gone out in the
I
spring.
get them by my house.
Yeah, the sandy areas, they'll come in there and they'll make those little circles and they'll nest in there and lay the eggs. This just provides like more habitat, for fish to do that. And this would be like your bass would go in there, your walleye potentially could go in there. Also like your feeder fish, which we don't have a lot of in our lake, they can go and hide on these nests. So these are like what I came up with, to summarize my findings. If you could make it work, the downed trees or fish sticks are still like the most recommended from a cost, from an effectiveness, from not being invasive to boaters and fishermen. And then these two, the trays and the trees, both accomplish different agendas. They all have their pros and their cons.
Sure.
But I think the most disturbing thing after reading the report, which we'll get to, is that water quality is probably a bigger concern for the fish habitat than providing structure for them. Like I do know, and it's in here, was echoed by the report we had from years ago, is our deep water depths are almost deprived of oxygen, especially in the summer. So, but anyway, that's something like we can consider. I still am not going to give up trying to contact that resource we had at the DNR, because I'd be really interested, in hearing from them on how, with the makeup of our lake, are we going to even benefit from doing this?
So, I guess it seems to me, again, for budgeting purposes, this seems like the more reasonable thing for a water management board. This around, or this type of thing, if it's by shorelines and stuff, I mean, we could maybe put this in like a newsletter that says, hey.
Hey, why
people,
don't you get one?
Here's some plans, and then maybe there, or something. I guess I don't know what the permitting aspect of that would be, but, this is more in line with what we did in the past, except for it was wood, right? Which is why we're doing it again. So, I mean, even if we said we're gonna do 10 of these, it'd be less than $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I don't think we would go spending $800 on a couple of trays, right?
Hey, I was just doing my work.
Yeah, no doubt. It's perfect. So, I think, we could probably throw $1,000 in the budget. I mean, the previous estimate I had was significantly higher, right? So maybe just throw $1,000 in the budget and then figure out if we want to go do this. I think this is a project that we could take on.
Oh, easy.
Right? Go have a day, build it, drop them in, whatever. So this could be something we could look at this summer. The permitting cost, I'm not sure what that would be, probably $200, and maybe I'll make it $1,200.
I didn't look into that.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to fill out a permit, which we did in the past. It seemed fairly trivial to do for this type of thing. It's a small project. I think it's like a $200 fee or something, so.
What are you said the trees are the best things you can get.
Yeah, that's like
I'm sorry, my nephew just moved in down the street. He had 4 big trees cut down. And they had to cut them up and grind them up and take them away.
Yeah.
So,
It's a combination of the tree and
Getting-
having the shoreline that you're willing to just lay a tree down into the lake and tie it off on. Like, who's doing that?
or throw it in the lake and tie one in.
But it's gotta be tied to the shoreline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of shoreline owned by the village where that would be acceptable.
the only thing
That's
I
the
could
problem.
even think of is down, I'm not as familiar with the roads like you guys refer to it, but down by the boardwalk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like there's some shoreline over there that I don't even think there's even any houses on. Like, if there was ever anywhere we were gonna put it, that's the only thing in my experience that seems like that would be a reasonable
Yeah.
place to put it. It would serve the purpose, like it would provide a habitat down there for them.
Mhm.
But that's really it. Like, the majority of our lake has a seawall on it,
Yeah.
or it's a house with a natural shoreline. I don't think we could convince many of them to let us anchor a tree in their yard.
Right, right. It's just so that they could have a bunch of fishermen out in front of their house all summer.
Yeah.
I think doing something like these trees at depths that don't interfere and put them like on the edge of the deeper holes and stuff is the way to go, so. We could,
10 of these, 20 of these?
all right,
30 of
the last time we put 6 in, right? So if you said, from a budget perspective, if you said 10, it'd be less than $1,000. So, and then we could talk about like, hey, if we want to go actually do that, we could arrange doing it and get the material and stuff, but we'll get it in the budget, get that approved first, and then go figure out how to do it.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Reestablish the SAD. So Mr. Snyder had sent me something, but I didn't read it. Is anybody aware of anything that's going on there?
Other than my neighbor's septic failed and he was a member of SAD, it made me think, wow, that's a great idea.
So there's a letter, he put together a letter for it. And here they changed it, okay. So there's a letter, so let's just talk about this. Paul put together a letter that was basically a notification of restarting the sewer assessment, the special assessment district for sewer, having a new one. So they basically sent a letter, the village marked it up. So I think it's a matter of figuring out how we want to get this going. I could talk to Paul, he can publish this, or if we get it in a newsletter or something, and out on Facebook. So it looks like this is underway. It's not budget related, but he's at least moving on it. He's got a notification out here. It says, you need a minimum of 30 homeowners to participate. And the village currently has a list of 15 people who are interested in participating already, which is good. So this seems like it'd be something we'd be able to execute. We'll try and do an information campaign. So if you're watching, I know we get those 2 viewers. We'll probably start another special assessment district for sewer connection, which has got a lot of good benefits. We'll send out some information. Sign up will be at the village hall here upstairs. And we'll move forward with that. I don't have any more information with that if Paul's not here. All right. Water quality testing plan for Greenaway Drain. You're on that?
Yes.
This is your baby?
I'll say it's not without Jerry as well, so, but, this is yours, right, Jerry? This here? These are the answers from Powell.
That's the stuff written are from Mike Powell.
Yes.
The village engineer.
So, you guys all have a copy of this.
No,
I didn't think I
unfortunately,
do.
I mean, I picked up this one off the table, so.
Yeah, that was for you.
Oh, okay,
I'm
well, thank you. But basically, I read through it here quickly, but I spoke with both Mike and David this week, and couple answers. I know that I'll nag on, so I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. But the first one was, what was the big question of what was spent back in, whatever time it was, you have $30,000 here, it was in the budget. That was confirmed. It was American Marine. As I had mentioned before, they came out and they dredged the sediment basin right before I bought the property there. There was some basically collection of outflow from the Greenaway drain there that was scooped out and cleaned up a little bit. I don't have, backing up further from that though, when Paul was here, he had a contact that he reached out to see if there was any testing done. Previously, in the last 5 years, the village actually has no record of testing from the Greenaway drain because it's not technically part of what our watershed testing would involve. So we follow where our water is heading to, not what's coming into the lake. So technically that would be on the responsibility of Walled Lake. That is the largest contributor to the Greenaway drain is Walled Lake, water systems coming through and the road commission.
Where you're meeting is that the expectation is that the water coming in has been tested by Walled Lake.
Is being tested by Walled Lake. Now, the understanding that I've gotten is basically from David and from Mike Powell is that despite repeat pressure from them to have the water tested or to have their sediment basins tested on directly so that we can see what's coming into the Greenaway drain further upstream, they have not provided a plan or any data to suggest that they're following up on their own testing that
Sure.
they should be doing.
Sure.
Now, when I spoke with Powell about it, his suggestion would be, possibly for us to try to coerce Walled Lake into getting some testing done, or what is their plan for testing? Because just like us, they have, a permit basis for, municipal water runoff, basically, that they have to test 2 sites. I forget the frequency, but I think it's every year. And we do that for ours, but seemingly we don't have any information that they're doing that as well. So something that could possibly affect us well. But in terms of trying to clean it up the best for us, or if there is a problem,
Is there any downside for us doing a water?
to do our own,
test there?
there isn't. I don't see
Even if
any.
they test like, hey,
Yeah.
Walled Lake down there, it's like,
Yeah.
well, what else is accumulating between here and there?
I totally agree. I don't see there's any reason why we shouldn't. I'll admit that was something that I did not pursue yet to find out where we should or could get water testing done, on the private side. But I did learn that, I guess, between Mike and David, there are some potential plans to try to do some maintenance at the Greenaway drain this year. Mostly being that there's kind of a damway there that's drawn in the things that I guess was probably put in about 40 years ago. It has either been kind of run down or no longer has the same presence that it did. And when it rains really heavy, it not only overflows the front, which it does constantly every day. It's not actually really catching a lot of water or filtering water down. It kind of just flows right over the top of what it used to be. But it actually flows past on the outsides as well. So it's just this massive rush of water down through there. But the recommendation, I guess, from their side is the best thing that we can do to try to improve water quality is to try to build that back up and to expand it off to the sides. And that we can't go any higher than what it originally was, but just, again, reestablishing what it was and having the wetlands do their job of naturally filtering the sediment
Sure.
out of the water is our best way of catching that.
But that's part of something they already have planned?
It's something that they said looking into, and speaking with David, candidly, I said, what is the possibility and timeline for this? And he said, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to get it done this year. It would be something that would be contracted out. It is not something that they would be able to do in-house, just because of the schedule of our own public works, so.
Okay, well, it's promising that they have.
Seems like there is positive work there that could be happening, but.
So as far as like, you want to take the point of like, I know Walled Lake probably has a council or has something where we can poke them, find out.
Yeah, I don't know that there
and
is-
ask them if they do testing or whatever.
I think that's a good direction. I'm not sure who we have to go do that with. Maybe they have a council that we can, again, do the similar thing. And then I guess as far as water quality testing, is this something that we want to postpone until we do dam work?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think.
Because there's no reason to test and be like, oh, this is really bad, if we're gonna be able to fix it, and
Yeah.
then like not have good reliable data.
So I think for the purposes of this, like putting something in a budget, saying, hey, this is a placeholder.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, it's not about spending the money right now.
Right.
I think we'd probably get a water quality test for like $500.
Right.
So,
Seems to me like you would want to maybe get one before and then one after.
Oh, I agree, I'm
You know,
just thinking,
Because
if-
like if our DPW is, or contracting out someone to repair it with the hope that we're gonna get the marsh to do its job,
Mm-hmm.
if we have a pre and a post and there's an impact, then we know it was effective.
oh, yeah.
If not, then, we would be irresponsible. We don't look for other ways to fix it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So.
Obviously, I don't know at the chemical level of what's going on, but from living nearby, I'll say is, when it heavily rains last summer, and I won't comment recently, because obviously we're having a mass amount of rain right now, so there's a lot of water flow through there, and the lake's actually high. But when it stormed last summer, towards end of summer, you can see just mass brown clouds running out into the lake, just tons of dirt runoff. So, I mean, it's doing something.
yep.
I can't comment on what it all is, and I agree, data is much better than saying visually, but there's something coming in.
Okay, so I will throw
Let me,
$500 budget line item in there for
Hmm.
hold, and then we can go figure out, go ahead.
the $30,000 was probably to have who? The company?
American Marine, they're a company based in White Lake, they do seawall work and
Okay.
lake dredging, other things like that. They dredged out the bottom of the Greenaway Drain sediment basin.
And that was 6 years ago?
Yes.
And it looks like there's just a small stream coming through there now, so.
I mean,
The amount of sediment that could settle out in 6 years might mean that it's really not a settling basin anymore. It's just a run-through 6-inch drain, and I may be wrong.
Yeah.
But I think we may want to figure out, I don't know who would figure that out, should it be dug out again? Like any lagoon needs to be dug out every now and again.
yeah.
And I was surprised to see in this that it really was, it's a settling basin. They made it a settling basin.
I think that based on the comments from Mike and David and the proposal to, repair some of the areas slightly upstream of like, again, that area, I wouldn't be quick to say, we need to hurry up and dredge it before, maybe doing the things that could possibly eliminate a lot of the run out, so. It's my hope anyway.
Other thing, there's no, this thing was really trying to determine how much phosphorus is coming, because phosphorus is the big problem. And there's nothing in there to remove the phosphorus.
No.
And it would help if there was some. If we find phosphorus on the outlet, I don't care about the inlet so much, except that it might tell us how much phosphorus sorption material, PSM is called, we might want to add to keep the phosphorus out of our lake. Because once it gets into the lake, it just adds to the milfoil and other things.
Oh, yeah.
So I would want to see, I don't know who does it, Powell does it?
Yes, I guess so. I mean, Powell is in charge of, evaluating these things. I don't know who's in charge of picking contractors and whatnot to do the work, that kind of work, but
I'd like to know how deep it is. When it was dug out, was it dug out to an average of 3 feet deep? 4
so
feet
he
deep?
has-
And how long, and what area is it?
yeah, I would agree. So he notes here that they have drawings. I don't know if the village has drawings of it, or if his office has drawings, but I assume that there's some sort of plan, that wasn't just go in there and dig. So I would assume there was a,
This, Mike says he sent drawings to Dave,
okay,
so.
we can follow up with him. I mean, that was just today, because he messaged me today as well, so, yeah.
You want to call him? Why don't you call him?
I'm fine with calling him, yeah. I'll check in with him. I'll follow up with David and Mike and see what we can
Okay.
get in drawings for that.
What I would like to see if it is just a stream going through there, and I'm reluctant to wade through it, and I'm serious about that.
I have waded through it, and I would not advise it.
Okay, how deep was it?
How deep do you consider the bottom? What you can see or what goes up to your hips when you start walking through it?
Probably.
It's hard to say what the bottom is, you know? That's, I guess, my
So it's
point.
muck?
Yeah, it's just like everywhere else. I mean, the lake bottom's pretty mucky if you go into the wrong places. So, I mean, it's, if you go out there, you'll sink in pretty quick.
Okay.
It's not a sandy bottom.
So I guess follow-ups from that will be, I guess you want to poke around and try to understand who we'd even
Yeah,
contact. those of Walled Lake?
I'll keep following up on this and give another report out the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, I think it'd probably be worthwhile to go understand cost of testing.
Yeah.
My guess is it would be $500 maximum.
Do we want to, I guess, in the effort of what Jim says, you know, do we want to allocate for 2 testing timings? Is that something we were able to do here? You know, say $1,000, or is that too much money allocation?
I think my guess is, would we want to do testing at the same time a year? Do you think it'd be directly before and after, or you do
That's-
before, have a
yeah.
project done, do it same time next year, evaluate?
Yeah,
I think it would probably have to be year over year. I don't think it's going to be instantaneous.
I would agree. It's, yeah,
Jared from Progressive said they could do the phosphorus and nitrogen
Mhm.
testing,
okay.
but it should be at a time, like you said, when it's a fast flow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I had a line item in there. Again, these are all just placeholders at the moment. Okay, so program, the boat cover recycling program. So just update for that. Anybody listening online, it's underway. We put all the flyers in everybody's, not in their mailbox, but around mailboxes for anybody that had boat covers. So we recycle the shrink wrap for the boat covers. You got to pull out what's the string called?
String.
No, it's not, you know what I mean by string, but we got to pull the string out and the rest of it can be recycled. There's bags available here at the village office. You could fit like at least 2 boats worth of boat covers in these bags. I've fit 3 in them in the past.
It's good to know.
The bags are free. You just give them your address, right? So we purchased, I think, like 75 of them or something like this. They're up there in the village office. So that program is underway.
And sorry, this is my first time, so I mean, so then when you take all this back, it gets dropped off here at the village on that weekend?
Yep, there's a weekend here, and we put it right over in the back there's the dumpsters over here.
Yep.
It's where like there's like a bunch of fill,
Yeah,
stack them all. It's like you'll see a huge amount of plastic, and then they come and pick them all up.
good deal.
Yeah.
First year with the pontoon, so first year I shrink wrapped, so.
Yep, so we got that going. Okay, so I've got some stuff then to cover. I got 2 things that I'll cover first. The next one up is the muck removal. So I put this little thing together that we can look at. So I'll talk through it, but there's a lot of information here. So I found out the company that did the muck removal. So anybody interested, let's listen up. The company that did the muck removal over at Lake Sherwood is this company called Sediment Removal Systems, right? Or they call themselves the Muckmen or something.
Nice.
So they basically, I'll explain briefly the process, and then I talked to this guy, I got a bunch of notes, I've got some estimates even. So we'll go through all of that. So they basically come with divers, and then they have like a hydraulic pumping system, where they'll have divers in the water, basically liquid vacuuming. You could think of it like that. So at Lake Sherwood, and there's a couple of different options on how you get rid of the muck, right? So the first one that I think is most common, they basically have these large tubes, and they pump it into these tubes that are like mesh bags you can think of, and it sits in those tubes, and the water all runs back out, and then you're basically just left with the dry muck, and that can get reused for fill or whatever, whole bunch of stuff, right? So that's kind of what they did at Lake Sherwood. So you basically put a big pad out, which they made out of wood chips, right? So you have to make it, he explains it like it's having a water balloon, right? And if it's off level, it's just got to, right? So if you just put it on the shore, it's just going to roll away, right? So like you have to make it, come do some landscaping type work, where you have to find a place where you can level it out, put a bunch of wood chips down, they put this big water balloon muck-filled sack on it, and then it sits there and the water runs out, and then when the water runs out, you're basically left with a bunch of dirt. So that's what's open in Sherwood. If you guys go look, it's on Rivers Edge Drive. And he said that there was like houses at the end of the canal there, that, you know, in their instance, they have dues that they pay for the association dues. That's what covered it for that particular lake. And they pumped out, like 4 feet of muck for 400 feet.
That would be awesome.
And that's what's there. So it just looks like a big bunch of dirt out there now. And I literally, you can see there, like, people have taken it to go, like, put places. Doesn't smell. You can't, like, tell. I've been there when it was a big bag, and now that it's open, it's not like it smells or anything. So that's one option, is that you put it in these bags, let it drain. Okay. The other option is you can put it in an open area that's available, pump it over there, right? The main thing is you have to, as part of this, you have to make sure that the muck itself doesn't have a way that it's gonna make it back into the lake, right? So if you could put a retention area over there and you pump it over there and it hangs out over there and that's where it lives now, that's okay, right? But if you put it in, you can't put it in like some wetland and then it's gonna end up back in the lake, right? So that's kind of like this process where you got to find this area. The website is pretty rich with information, talks through the process. You got to identify an area that can either hold these bags or retain this stuff forever. They basically come with some divers. They charge by the day. It's like a crew of people. They got a bunch of pumps. They could pump muck up to 2,000 feet, which of course depends on how much you're pumping it uphill and stuff, and how far it is a function of how many pumps they have. But they go and they do this process with basically vacuuming, right? How many bags you need, all of that is a function of like the content of the muck, right? Is it light and fluffy or is it like mud, right? So, which varies by areas. So that's kind of the context. So then I was talking to this guy about like, you know, in the canals particularly, you know, and I know a bunch of people have information, but I was basically looking at this area specifically, right? From here, Penny Lake all the way back up to here, right? This is around 2,000 feet, okay, if you go like that. So this is it. This is kind of the area. I know that there's a lot of other areas. For sake of argument, talking to this guy, I was talking about that particular area. So I was talking to Dave about, you know, if you're gonna try and do this and you're across this whole area, it's 2,000 feet, you need places in this area where you can put it, right? This is an outlot, this is an outlot, and there's an outlot down here that belongs to this subdivision. So the outlet down here could be a possibility. These are basically, you wouldn't be able to guarantee that it doesn't go back into the lake, right? So they're disqualified, you never get permitted for that. So there's an outlet down here that you could possibly do it, or you have to start talking about to residents in the area. So these are the 3 outlots documented on this first page. So that one parcel number at the bottom, you know, just from visual inspection would be a better probability. So like funding, you know, Lake Sherwood, they did it based on association dues. That's what paid for it. We obviously don't have that. We don't have an association. We have village taxes. Or you can do, the property owners can pay for it, right, of the affected areas. This is a possibility. So what they did was on Sherwood, the Sherwood Association paid for essentially building the highway. So they would do something like from dock to dock, okay? And that's what I picture here in the canal, right? Just dock to dock, make a highway, make it better for boats in and out. You don't have to probably take it down 6 feet. You can take it down 3 feet down the middle, go 20 feet wide, all the way down. That's kind of what they did at Sherwood. And then homeowners, by choice, if they wanted more done, they were like, hey, come do this, right? And then, all right, they go over here, and they go over there, they go over there. Okay, so there's no grants or anything like this from the state of Michigan, right? So it's basically homeowners associations and property owners. Or you could do something like a special assessment district, like what we're doing for the sewer side, right? Where we could say, hey, listen, because you have to get people to sign off. So something like a special assessment district would allow you to get, 80% of the people to sign off and say the project is good, and then it gets assessed on taxes. Okay, so project approach and scope. So the way they charge is by how many days they expect it to be. They basically charge by the day. But right now, everything they gave me is just based on my conversation on the phone with them and a picture of the area and identifying some lots. They didn't show up and do anything, right? So they did throw me a high-level estimate, which I didn't print out because I only got it today. So so a super preliminary proposal that literally has the word preliminary highlighted and bolded everywhere. So I called out that 2,000 feet that basically goes from Penny Lake all the way up to the entrance heading out. They estimated it would be 17 days worth of work. So what they quoted for 2 of those bags, the fees for the pumps, getting a permit, doing the site prep, and all of that was $120,000 for 2,000 square feet, 2,000 linear feet. And that was assuming that they'd be removing, totally throwing darts here, right? 1,700 feet long, 20 feet wide, which would give them about 400 cubic yards of dewatered organic mass. So that's basically removing 3 feet of sediment over 1,700 feet, 20 feet wide. So ballpark, that's what you're looking at, $120,000 to clear that canal, which I actually, when I first saw it, I was like, that's not so bad, right?
Honestly.
And then you think about like all of those houses, let's just say if you did a special assessment district and you hit 15 houses up that way, it's less than 10 grand a house to have that cleared out, which to me was not so bad, right? So, okay.
Did they, in any of your conversation, did they say like how they do that? They remove the 3 feet for 1,700 linear feet. How long is that effective?
Yeah, so all of this would be stuff, so, and I'll get to where
Right.
I'm trying to go with this. This would be conversations to have, like he'd have to go see the site, right? I threw 3 feet out there. I have no idea how deep the water is there, how deep the muck is there. Is it 6 feet of muck and 2 feet of water? Is it 3 feet of water and 2 feet of muck? I don't know, right? I've been down there. I honestly don't know. They'd have to come look. This is literally just throwing darts, having conversations, right? Which gets me to the next point. To actually understand it, right? They would come out and do a site visit, right? And that would be the opportunity where you get as many people there as you want. They'd answer all the questions and they'd come out and take a look. They'd send divers in. They'd look at the site where they would dump it as a possibility. They would get an actual estimate of what it is, how deep. They'd sample the muck and see how deep it is and all this other stuff and get an understanding of what the project actually is. For that, and they would understand what the process is for doing the permits and all of that. They said it's between $1,850 and $2,000 for them to come do a site visit, which would be deducted off of the total cost if you were to hire them, right? So they threw a dart out here based on preliminary information, which was 120,000. I'm sure that's low. I'm sure when they actually look at it, it's gonna be more muck, the sites can be more complicated, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't $500,000, right? So it was $2,000, they said $1,850 to $2,000 to come out, right? And that site visit would let them know what the sediment depth is, the total project area, how much volume would need to be removed, the length of it, you'd talk through the details. So some more complicated stuff, permitting, et cetera. So he said that it's more complicated if the material has to be removed from the site. If you're going to take the stuff out and go ship it somewhere else, then you need sediment samples, it gets more complicated with permits and stuff. If it remains at the site or remains in the area, he said the permits are different. So like at Sherwood, they pumped it out and it's essentially right there. They didn't go ship it to Wisconsin or something, right? Or move it to a landfill somewhere. So he made it sound like the permit and the sampling requirements and stuff like this could be reduced if the muck, long-term, is gonna go get used for stuff in the area or something. He also said that you can't side cast it, he called side casting, so you can't just pump it from this part of the lake to that part of the lake, right? That's illegal. So you can't say, hey, we got this deep hole over here, let's fill it up with 300 yards of muck, right? So that's not possible. He said the smaller and the more isolated the work is, the easier it is to permit. But he says Eagle has more of a textbook interpretation on, they follow the book more recently now. I think they have new people there. He made it sound like they're going to follow the book for permits.
They felt like they could get a permit, they get permits for this.
They literally just did it a show.
To jump over to the Echo Harvester.
Yeah.
We can't. Would you talk to these guys and see if they can help? I'm serious.
Yeah, so this,
What I've heard is, they won't let you disturb, Eagle won't let you disturb a thing on the bottom. That's why we're having trouble.
these guys literally, I started this by going and saying, look, they did it. It's done. Go to Lake Sherwood. You can see it. It's sitting there.
Yeah.
So they also sent me this. They sent me the list of all of the lakes and their references. So they have done it in Leonard, Michigan, Oxford, Michigan, Pontiac, Michigan, Columbus, North Carolina, Linden, Michigan, Owosso, Michigan, White Lake, Michigan, Stanton, Michigan, Oxford, Michigan, and Lake Sherwood.
Well, I think to your comment, and, the eco harvester versus this, or eco harvester, but the clarity here is that it's easier to permit the smaller the area. In theory, the eco harvester does cover our entire lake bottom. If that's anything to Eagle's point, I guess it's this, if we're talking only this canal section, it's a lot easier or a lot quicker for them to go through the permitting process. And I would think that's probably why it's easier for them to get away with this.
So they have done this many times. The company's website is there. So why do I bring this today? Because I had the action item with the follow-up, so I did my follow-up. This is the furthest in my time on the board we've actually gotten to even having any information regarding managing muck in the canal, despite the fact that we had people that lived on the canal on the board. Okay.
Very good.
I repeat, talk to them and see if they can get us a permit with
Okay.
Eagle, because I disagree on the area thing. They're gonna be digging up, well, what, how, 2,000 feet? It's just, I don't know, I'm just stupefied
Okay.
to tell.
So this type of thing, I just want to stick to this topic.
Well, this is tough.
Basically, hard to do without the community engagement saying, I want this to be done, right? There was time where we had vocal members, particularly in this area, which is why I targeted it, about the conditions in the canal and the fact that they wanted muck removed and whatever, and we had a member of the board that was on the canal trying to drive it. So doing something like this and saying, hey, I don't know, but I don't see the village saying, hey, I'll pay $200,000 to go do that. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, I'm not part of that. But I could see a project executed by the board that understands what it actually is gonna cost, just like we're doing for the sewer special assessment district, saying, hey, guys, this is an option. If you're interested, we can look into what it takes to do a special assessment district, and you guys take the brunt of the cost, because it's improving the lakefront of your area, right? And we can help quarterback it as a possibility. So that's the information I have. We could, one of the things I wanted to just get an assessment from you guys is, we could throw a $2,000 budget request in and decide later if we want to actually go have these guys come out and look. But it's budget season, right? So we could say, hey, listen, TBD, not sure if we're going to do it, but for an assessment, if we want to have a $2,000 line item for sediment removal site assessment, it would be something we could put in the budget.
Absolutely.
I don't see why you wouldn't. I think it's very beneficial. I think that, put a line in the budget and contact homeowners and see their interest in it, but
How many households are on that canal, if you had to guess?
So I think it's all gonna come back to, which I have to go look, and he's gonna have to look on, like, can we put it here, right? Because if we can't put it there, we can't put it there, we can't put it there, now we gotta go find somebody's property to put it on, which is gonna be more challenging. The one in Lake Sherwood is on somebody's property, but they have a massive amount of
Right.
property, and it's way in the back, and like, you see it from the road, but not from all, right? So here, if you just go both sides of this canal, there's 15 houses, which I said was like
Yeah.
less than $10,000 a house. If you just did assessed it from here to here, right? But I got pricing basically out to this point here. I didn't get anything around this area. I think here you could probably pump down, here you could pump down, from here to here, I don't know that they could pump it that far, right? So I think like where it's an option was a function of what houses, but like there's only 3 houses on this side, right? So even if you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 19 or 20 along that path, you could maybe get this whole Y. And then once they're on the lake, say, hey, I want to pay for a day.
Yeah.
Right, and then just go over here, but you're gonna need a place to put it, right? And if you go on the website, they've got all different things, like, people just dig a hole, right? Or you build out, they've built out huge things with hay bales and stuff like this, and build an area where they can quarantine it and keep it, and then it drains out, and then it's just dirt. Okay, so that's that topic. All that information is on the, in that Water Management Board folder in that Google Drive I can send to you. But that was the printout that I provided. So key takeaways: no state funding, upfront evaluation costs about $2,000. Regulatory compliance, that's a cost and risk, and a special assessment district is probably the best way to fund it, in my opinion.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, next one. Hazardous waste. It's not there, but I'm gonna cover it right now anyway. So hazardous waste options. This is another one of my follow-ups. So this is far less refined in terms of text, but bear with me. Contacted this company called ERG Environmental. They run hazardous waste drop-off projects. So they are a facility down in Livonia. Individual residents can go drop off their hazardous waste there and pay for it. They also run community-wide events. So they run the one in Milford, they run them around. I would say it sounds like they generally run really big ones for large communities, right? So I think we would probably be on the small side of an activity, but I wanted to just go through the information I got on a hazardous waste disposal program if we wanted to do something like this. So there, the top, don't worry about the top. I probably shouldn't even have printed this out, but I'll just talk through this just so it's my own notes. The way that this works is you can, first off, my first conversation with them made it sound like you can do it by a per car fee. There'd be a ground setup fee. You'd have to give them a facility, whether it's like you could set it up in the school parking lot, or you could set it up maybe in the village. It needs to be able to have cars come in and out, right? You got to be able to give them an area, maybe across the street or something. And then there's a fee for having them show up, and then you could say, hey, it's going to be 100 cars or something, and you could do it that way. The more I talked to them, the less it seemed like that's really the way it works. It seems like it's more, there's a fee and then they charge per pound. And if you ask them to do it by car, they're just going to probably throw a high number out there and assume everybody's bringing less, right? The general take rate, they generally say if you go and have this event in a community, 3 to 5% of people would show up, okay? So we've got 1,800 households in the village, okay? So you'd be looking pretty small from an actual car number. If it was 3 to 5%, now he said, first time your community does it, can be higher than that.
If you go out and push it really hard and you're knocking on people's doors and putting flyers out there, well, hey, we're gonna have this recycling event and bring all your oil and bring all your stuff so it doesn't end up in the lake and all this other, maybe you get 500 cars out there, right? Who knows? But we've got about 1,800 households. So if you went to the 3 to 5%, you're talking 50, 60 cars, right? So just to give you an idea, he said the way that it works, if you want to limit it, you could do a voucher system, you could say first 50 cars, you could do whatever you want to do. So the execution of it, I think, requires some planning and detail. You could send out flyers, you could say, come to the village and grab your voucher, give out 80 vouchers and maybe 50 people show up, whatever. Or you could just keep it open. So they gave an estimate as well. So I'll just show you on this back. And what annoyed me is that I asked them that I need an actual estimate of a total dollar amount, not just a per pound estimate, because I don't know how to convert this, right? How do I know how many pounds somebody is showing up with? Are they gonna, whatever. Anyway, it would be expensive. It sounds like it's like nearly $10,000 just to kick it off, plus the fee of the actual cars, right? Which varies by what you allow them to bring in. Right. So he said that let me just show you, I'll read some text here. So, he said on the low end, some communities might have an average of 60 to 70 pounds per car, while in other communities, they can get up to 140 pounds per car. It just depends, right? And it depends on the type of community. If you're like in a farming community, you might have a bunch more stuff, right? He said some communities, it's mostly batteries, lights, prescription drugs, household weights, and stuff like this. And in others, it's herbicides, pesticides, and everything else, right? So it just depends on the community, so it's hard for him to just throw an assessment. My expectation is in our area, it probably would be more things like latex paint or, he said latex paint is a good one to not take because you could put it out in your regular garbage, right? Yeah. And it weighs a lot, right? So like you could just say, we're not taking that. But things like, you'd want to take oil and pesticides and you could exclude electronics, right? It's like you put on your water management board hat. I don't think we have a problem with people throwing electronics in the lake, right? I think we would be looking at things like oils and paints and prescription drugs and stuff like this, right? So you can say you're going to limit the program to certain things that may also restrict the weight. If you say, I'm not going to accept electronics, right? As an example. So all this said, despite all of the time I talked to this guy 3 times and he likes to talk. I don't have a number that says if we wanted to execute this and we assume 55 cars showed up, how much would it cost? But my guess is it's going to be $20,000 to $30,000 would be my guess. And the 10 of that is probably just setting up, just having them be here. Okay. The other thing he said that they do in the communities is that they have like above ground storage tanks for drop off. So they said they could get like a 600-gallon tank. You could put it at the village hall and people could come and just dump stuff there, right? You get oil, whatever, if you want it. Or you just tell people, go drop off your stuff, drive to Livonia, right? So this is the information that I have. I wasn't able to get to something that says, hey guys, do we want to go put something in a budget or try and execute something and say, if it was 20 grand or something like this? I do think this would be a really good thing, a community thing, from a one-time thing. I would hope we would get more than 55 cars to show up, but it's hard to assess, like, when it's such a small number of vehicles. It doesn't change the initial setup fee for them to come show up, right? You're talking, 10, 12 grand just for them to show up for 50 cars. It probably doesn't really make sense, unless you're part of a larger thing you do it through Walled Lake or something. So that's what I got from the hazardous waste. I thought it would be something that we'd be able to do, in my opinion. I don't know that the cost can be justified for an expected turnout of about 60 cars. It would be great if it was a more regular thing that we could do, but I just don't think the community is big enough to do it at the cost that it is here.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that was the hazardous waste program. I wanted to go dig into that. I always thought it'd be a good thing for us to do, but,
I had no idea it'd be that expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's personal drop-off area, you know, you could go, you just gotta drive to Livonia, pay for it yourself, right? I always thought, like, as a water board, it'd be a good thing for us to make it convenient for people to get rid of oil-based paints and oils and all this stuff, right? But, I think it's just prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep. So budget finalizing, let's hit this up. Here's what I have. Fish habitats, $1,200. Greenaway drain testing, threw $1,000 in there. Flat bottom boat, $2,000. Safety festival, $500. Website, we just keep a $500 line item in there that we haven't had to use, but I like to keep it. Printing and publications, we just keep $500 there just in case we want to do newsletters and stuff like this. We hold conferences and dues if you guys want to travel to educational conferences, or sometimes they had that thing up at Crystal Lake. That was $1,500. The recycling bags, $900 we spent already. Site assessment fee for the sediment removal, if we wanted to take that project on, $2,000. That's what I have in the budget as a request. Anything else you guys think of?
Nope.
Okay,
Should be good. Thank you.
moving on. Current lake level, rained like mad. Current lake level, 2.5 inches over the summer target. We went from being significantly down to having a massive spike with the rainstorm last night. So I think it's 2.5 inches. I'll do the math. Times 12. So, yeah, 2.4. So that's generally where we open the gate to let some water out. So it went from below the limit to almost having to go let the water out. So I'll just get with DPW because it's going to keep going up, right? We got more rain in the forecast this week, right? We got rain tonight, we got rain Friday, we got rain Saturday. If you let it get too high, it's going to get up on people's shores and stuff. So we're at the point we'll probably have to crack the gates just from all the rain that we've had. All right. And the water is 53 degrees. Still a little cold to go swimming.
A little chilly.
A little cold
I
to
haven't
go
skied
swimming.
yet, so.
A little cold to go swimming. It could be wetsuit ski
It
weather.
is wetsuit ski season, so.
We measured 2 inches of rain last night. That's what the thing measured, was 2 inches of rain.
That's wild.
And the lake generally goes up 1.7 inches for every inch of rain. It's crazy, right?
You should see the Greenaway Dream today.
Yeah, so yeah, at least a 3.5 inch rise overnight.
Yeah, open it.
Rain accumulation for April is almost 4 inches already, only halfway through the month. Anyway, we don't have to worry about running the pumps to fill the lake this year.
Doesn't look like it.
All right, noteworthy complaints from the village. I haven't seen anything. I guess, have you heard or seen anything specific? I did send a complaint to, not a complaint, to Progressive, just asking them when they plan to start evaluating, so I will see what they said. I can look out there already, and there's algae showing up. It always shows up early. With the storm last night, a lot of it kind of went away, but it comes back, and it just bothers me that I feel like we do a fairly good job now managing it, except for the first time. Like the first time of the year, it always gets out of control. It always gets crazy somewhere in the third week of April, and we're like, man, people are just putting their boats in, they're excited to get out there, and all of a sudden, boom, bunch of algae. So I saw a bunch popping up out there, so I pinged them already. He said the first lake survey is scheduled for May 5th. but if we want to do algae inspection, we can have them come out before that. So we can have them come out before May 1st if we want to do an algae treatment. So I'll keep an eye on it. If you guys in your areas, or if
Common spots.
people see it, I mean, back over here usually gets bad, the canal usually gets bad. There's a couple areas that get bad right off the bat. So there is an opportunity, and the algae treatment, it doesn't require anything special. We literally just send them and say, search and destroy, and just go around spraying it. But it always bothers me that, like, very beginning of the season, and it's nice and sunny out, everybody's like, oh, summer's here, and you look at the lake, it looks terrible, right? So, anyway, the only noteworthy complaint was probably my own.
Great work.
Let's grab key dates. Key dates. All right, budget due May 1st, that's what we're working on. Lake at the target level, planned for May 1st.
Or
Victories.
Exceeding that.
Yeah, we don't want to go over the top, we haven't been over. Shrink wrap recycling program is coming up, so those dates, I can't remember when the actual recycling date, I have it here, is May 15th. We wrote a note here on check on the newsletter and make sure it comes out before the safety fair and other key dates. So does anybody know when the spring newsletter comes out? Oh, is I gonna check on the newsletter right now? Who does that? Do you remember? Is it Paige or Tabitha? Is there anything we'd want to put in the newsletter this year? Outside of the fact that maybe we're going to do safety fair? Oh, which means if we're going to do the safety fair, we need to talk about that. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Right? That's here. Man, we don't want to talk about it. When is the 5K? That's,
May 23rd, I believe.
okay, so this is the last meeting where we have May as well.
We'll have the May meeting.
Hmm?
I think we'll have the May meeting, sorry.
Okay. All right, key, continuing business, bird count and fish stocking. You guys have anything to talk about those two topics? I don't think,
I kind of covered the fish stocking with the habitat.
yeah. Plant control, invasive species. I don't have anything there. Let's talk about the harvester. So I put this together. So this is in response to council's discussion. So if you guys didn't see, the council, we had asked to get the $3,000 released for Progressive to help us with the permit process to understand the viability of the eco harvester. The conversation at council, understandably, was nobody's even come to talk to us about why we would even want to do this thing. Why would we spend $3,000 to get permits on something if there's no plan or agreement that we might even be interested in doing it? So completely reasonable. So they asked for an update. Go in there and tell them all about it. So I can go do that next meeting. I don't know when the next meeting is.
Second,
Coming up.
of the month.
All right. So I'll get on the agenda the next meeting and I'll go say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. So I put this thing together, which is combination of, and we could just read through it. But it's kind of my assessment summary of information that's been gathered over the past couple months on it. What the risks are, what the benefits are, why we need the $3,000 for the permitting help, et cetera. So my intent would be this, obviously it won't be this one because I spelled water wrong. But my intent would be to provide something like this to council as a pre-read. And then I'll show up there and tell them about the eco harvester and tell them why we think it's beneficial and tell them what the risk is and talk to them about the finances and why we think it's a reasonable investment. So that, this would basically be a pre-read. So I'll just kind of talk through it, right? So the top of it is just summary, right? You look at the bullets, right? Eco harvester may reduce chemical dependency through root removal and nutrient extraction, improve access to shallow dock and bridge constrained areas, maintain or modestly reduce long-term operating costs. So, if I'm looking at this and I'm sitting in council's chair, I want to know what the benefits are, how much is it going to cost me, what are we going to do with our existing harvesters? So that's the type of stuff I'm trying to talk. So, I talked about our current situation. We're using that H9800 harvester. We pay like 70 grand a year on chemicals, but the harvester can't access shallow water, dense dock areas, or bridge restricted locations. And I go through a little bit the eco harvester benefits, which to me, it's very hard to tell what's fact versus what's marketing, I think. But the technology and the idea of pulling them versus cutting the weeds seems to make sense. Removes plants by the roots, expands coverage, lets us get under the bridge, lets us get in the canals, lets us get closer to docks. So it's expanding operating domain, a different removal technology, and a potential to reduce long-term herbicide dependency, right? So the idea is that it would be able to reduce our herbicide dependency. I did put a paragraph here on like the financial analysis, which my intent probably at council would be to actually show them that little spreadsheet that I made on how the risk assessment is. And yeah, okay, we don't know if it's going to reduce chemical dependency by 2%, 10%, or 50%. But as long as it's over 20, then it pencils, right? But I could kind of go through what the risks are and like, yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. Is it gonna take a lot longer to operate? Is it actually gonna reduce chemicals? Like all of it, kind of go through that analysis that says, if we cut this a bunch of different ways, it still pencils, right? So I would plan to do that, but then stress the fact that like we need this permit. I have a section here on just financial assessment for how much the purchase price is, which I'm not even sure if that's the right purchase price anymore. If it was $100,000, I could fill this all in and get more exact. But, just talking about how we could offset that, and they'd have to read this, I won't be able to cover it all live. But how we'd offset it and how we'd be able to recover some of that money from the reduction of chemicals. Constraints, risks and constraints that I put in here. Obviously, the permit is the problem, which is why we're going to council in the first place, right? Uncertainty around how much herbicide we'd be able to reduce, right? It's said to be high percentages, but it's, we don't really know. But, the analysis that I did for the finances shows that it's going to be, good, favorable financial outcomes in all scenarios. The other part here is that I'm mentioning that it's emerging technology in my mind. You haven't been able to find any places in Michigan that have this, as far as
I
that.
will.
Yeah,
I don't think,
so I just want to at least highlight that to
but there are
council.
200 of them
Exactly,
for marketing, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, they say there's 200 of them. We got some contacts. I've called them, haven't heard back. Other big municipalities in Michigan are not using this thing, but the technology seems like it could be sound. And maybe the limited adoption is due to regulation more than it is about the technology of the thing. But just highlighting, like, it's not a guarantee. This is not a guarantee, right? And then the recommendation is just, our recommendation to engage with Eagle is to go engage with Progressive to help us with that communication with Eagle so we don't mess anything up in the permitting process, and increase our chances of being successful if we want to proceed with getting the harvester. And that we can actually make the decision on the harvester once we understand if it's allowed, if it's permitted, how much it costs, what can we do with this one? We can finalize those details once we invest this initial money to go get the permit process done. So this is a lot of words. I would have to shrink it a bunch, but my intent would be to go to council, kind of walk through that, walk through the financial stuff. I'll throw a slide up on the board so they can see it and say, here's why we want $3,000. And then they could say no, and then we're on to the next thing, or they could say yes, and we keep the thing alive. But I think a summary like this, here's your mail out. I don't know if council reads notes before the meeting. They actually read them.
Well,
They'll get them. I could provide something like that and then go and actually talk about it and answer some questions. So when it's on the agenda, if you want to come, you guys want to be there and talk, we can go talk and answer questions together. that's fine, but this would be I'm assuming they're gonna give us 10 minutes on the next council or something like that.
Oh, if you could have put on an agenda item, you'll have enough time to make a presentation. You won't be limited.
Yeah, okay, so that'd be my plan, is just get on the next agenda for council and then go through this and be like, now you know as much as we know and why we want $3,000.
That's awesome, Ryan. That's more than just a start. That's a lot.
Good?
Thank you.
Okay, where is, we don't have anything on this agenda for the safety fair? We're gonna have to just go off agenda, I guess, because we can't go without talking about that.
Open discussion.
So let's go through the rest of this first. Lake enforcement issues, too early, I don't think anybody's got anything there, right?
No, I haven't heard.
Septic field update, we have anything to talk about there, septic stuff?
I think we're going with the SAD, right?
Yep. Goose nest, egg destruction. So like I said, the permits did come out. They did recommend we do that last weekend, but I don't have my boat in, right? So I'll get with Rob, there's a window. We have until like mid-May or something like this, and they want you to go out 2 times. So they give you recommended dates, but you can go out anytime in that window. So once I get it depends on the weather, right? If it's raining every day, I'm not gonna get my boat in this week, but I'll figure that out. But we do have the permit, we have to go execute. I'll see what's a good date, maybe this weekend, I can get moving on that. Let's talk about the safety fair. I'm gonna add it in, maybe here, future business items, open
Open
discussion.
discussion on safety fair?
Yeah, open discussion, safety fair.
Any information you can find from this muck group about how they get through Eagle
Yeah,
would be beneficial to us and to Progressive.
okay. Yeah, I can ping them.
The whole issue here about getting an echo harvester is getting through Eagle.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about safety fair. I'm gonna open this up. So, I don't think anything's changed since last time, since we talked about this. I really should make this a little bit more formal, because I just have this scratch pad of notes. Last time, so generally Rob is on signs. We've been doing the life jacket, casting competition stuff. Rob generally does the signs. We would keep it at Claramilla Park. We'd tag it up with the 5K. Ideally, we'd get it in the newsletter, so I can follow up with that. Usually Kyle takes care of food. Bounce house was Rob. So last year we got the police boat. Do you want to follow up on that?
Oh, that's good.
See if they can come? I think last time you were able to get that done. You still have, we left that knot tying thing there.
Yep, should be in there.
What other things do we think we should do? You guys have any ideas? I feel like I don't want it to be stale of the same stuff, and last year was a little bit quiet, and then who would actually be able to be there this year? I know some of you guys said you were out, you had golf or something.
Yep.
I guess that weekend of the 5K, what day is that 5K?
The 23rd.
I gotta make sure I can even be there. I imagine I can, because my wife's in the 5K. So Saturday, May 23rd, we would tag on to the 5K. So I guess, who has ideas of what we could do? The spirit is safety fair, and the only real safety thing we have going on there is life jackets and maybe dock tying stuff. And the trivia that has some of the rules that we enforce, we ask people questions about the rules. Anybody else have thoughts on what we could add to the safety fair, or what people want to add to the safety fair and champion? And then who can be there this year? Can you be there this year? I think I can be there this year. You cannot be. What about you? You cannot be?
Saturday,
The 23rd of May.
Time,
Um,
seriously. I'm committed in the morning.
Yeah, the 5K is usually in the morning. What time is it?
It's usually an 8 start.
5K start, 10:15 a.m.
Late.
Yeah.
Really what it is?
10:15. So generally, I would say we would get there, start setting stuff up at, it depends on how much we have set up. 9:30. The 5K, they usually do the bubble run before that. You want to basically get people before and after, right? You're not going to get too many people during the race, but that's only,
Probably be set up by 9:30.
yeah, probably be set up by 9:30. So it's not that big of a commitment. It's maybe 2 hours type of thing. But it's in the morning, first half of May 23rd. So I would plan to be there. Hopefully Rob can be there. Rob, I got to go make sure he's going to go figure out he did music. I think last year we skipped the bounce house, but I do think that was worthwhile. What else can we do, guys? At this not tying station, let's look. Let's go to the Googles.
I did do an AI thing the last meeting and try to think of different ideas. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't come up with anything great for me.
Let's see. Let's see what Gemini has to say. Oh, life jackets, got that. A throw bag challenge. Set up a target in the grass or shallow water. Let people practice tossing a rescue bag. We did that. I have a throwable frisbee that we were trying to get people there. Float testing. Oh, no, we don't have water.
Kiddie pools.
Let's say you need a kiddie pool there.
Cold water simulation. Use a bucket of ice water to show how quickly cold shock can affect your breath and grip strength. Hold this and just pour ice water on somebody. It would be funny. Maybe people after the run would be okay with it.
Yeah.
Boating and navigation lessons. Let's just say the activity is not on the lake or near water. Shoreline, they have shoreline erosion. I mean, it doesn't have to be out safety. It could be any lake. We could talk about the special assessment district.
That would
That'd be
actually
a
be
good
very
time.
positive. That's something we should do.
Talk about, we could have a booth about sewer sad.
Do a little poster board booth and all that
Yeah,
information.
talk about that. Let's see, I added it to the list. All right, let's see what else is here. Okay. Tying boats up, we have that. Rescue throw contest. Check your tech station since you're building, what? Vessel safety check. Invite the Coast Guard to bring their model boat, i.e. the police boat.
Call it Coast
Look at
Guard for
this.
this one.
Look at this. We kind of have the stuff. Invasive species petting zoo. Bring dried samples of zebra mussels, starry stonewort, or milfoil in sealed containers, and people can see what they are.
That actually might not be bad.
And it says they can see what they need to clean and get off their trailers so they don't spread it to other lakes.
Zebra mussels are bad.
I know, but you could literally say, hey, look, here a thing. I mean, that's actually not a bad idea.
Big old pickle jar or whatever.
I've got plenty I'm sure I can pull one thing out of the lake and have a bunch of zebra mussels.
All I know is I pull my anchor with the big wad of weeds,
Yeah.
and they're all in there.
Yeah, but as an education of like when you pull out of the lake,
Yeah.
wash the stuff off your boat, might not be a bad one. Trailer maintenance 101. Do a demo on checking tire pressure, safety chains.
Have them pack our bearings for us.
Yeah, propeller safety, use boat or trailer to show the danger zone around engines. Dragonfly habitat table, fish habitat model. Use your project plan for fish structures as a display.
Build one by me,
Yeah.
can whip one together.
Build one, put it out there, say, have a fish habitat discussion. Anchor point, even without water, life jacket relays a hit. Okay, yeah. So we could do something,
Do an informational.
fish, yeah, more informational, fish habitat discussion. And then safety stuff, you could extend to boat safety, propeller safety, stuff like this. Almost wondering, what could we do there? Invasive species petting zoo, and that you could have one table that's got invasive species stuff and fish table. These are options, guys. I'm doing the life jackets. So sewer sad booth, invasive species, demo, fish habitat, all the stuff we were just talking about. It doesn't have to be a safety fair, it can just be a lake education fair.
You like that lake report that Progressive gave us a couple months back?
Mhm.
Showed the different kind of lakes. It just describes the terminology that we actually use
Mhm.
while we're trying to stay
Mhm.
right in the middle. And then you
Mhm.
use that as the educational information. And then you go, hey, here's a real life example of what we're talking about. Here's starving wormwood. Here's how you identify it.
Mhm.
Here's what it looks like. So
Maybe it
people
needs
are
a
just like,
rebrand.
oh, seaweed.
Sorry to cut in there,
Yeah.
but like, you know, your comment about like, hey, it doesn't need to just be safety stuff, maybe not calling it the safety fair might draw people and be like, hey, lake education fair or something like that.
Yeah.
Just sounds like, oh, I know how to put on my life jacket, I don't need to go to that, you know, like,
Yeah.
someone might come, or
Yeah.
might have more interest.
Potential.
Water and safety.
Yeah, it's potential to rebrand. Anyway, we need people to say they're gonna go do some of this stuff. So, like I said, I generally do that, the life jacket thing with the safety throwing thing, casting competition. And I'm usually operate that booth just because I have all the equipment to do it, and work on some of the advertising. So I think Rob last year did the knot tying station, which I think is worth doing again. We actually had a lot of people doing that. Surprised how many people don't know how to tie off their boat. Rob also does the signs. You got the police boat, did the trivia. Trivia could include anything. I mean, you could literally have the zebra mussels and say, what's that? Right? I mean, you could make the trivia as part of all of it, as, you know.
Yeah,
type of thing.
what's that station number 3?
Exactly.
Zebra mussel.
Yeah, that's right. It could be, here's all the stuff on the table. What do you know about it? What's that? What's that? What's that? So that's an option. Rob usually brings music and stuff too, and he took care of the bounce house in the past. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Anybody want to sign up for anything and be there to do it?
I guess I'll make the comment, I'm happy to come help set up, but I'm probably gonna run the race, so I
Okay.
probably won't be able to stick around the whole time.
Yeah.
So I don't wanna, take a job that needs requirement of being there.
Yeah.
When are you done? You're done in the morning.
This thing is just the morning, yeah. We basically, they run the 5K and we try and get in there and do some stuff while people are setting up, and then people run the 5K, and usually by the time they come back, we get a couple more people in
I
the
have
gun.
a commitment every Saturday.
Yeah.
You can dump the ice water on me after if you're booking up
Perfect.
volunteers.
Okay. All right, so we'll talk about it again next meeting, try and get some details. I might shoot out an email, but at a minimum, so I think I got to find out if Paul, Kyle, or if other people, if it's just going to be me, we're not doing the fair. So we got to find out if we can get Rob and Paul, if you're available, Kyle. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do it because you can't do it with one person. So I'll send out an email to them and see if they're going to be there. Okay, let's keep moving. Liaison reports, village council.
That was actually a pretty quick meeting last, the other week, if you will. Well, obviously, we talked about the Water Management Board, a request for Progressive, and we talked about that tonight. Village Hall cleaning service, just some housekeeping. 2 food trucks in the park. We had a little discussion about that, and I'll talk more about it at our work section.
Where there was an argument about that?
Well, a citizen, a resident, had a concern they want to have a private food truck in the park for a private party. And there was contention there too about bringing in an outside food truck for a private event and then having it on public property. Though.
Sure.
So it's not as if they're in their backyard, the truck's on their driveway and it's there to cater to their party goers. Issue is concern of just bringing the food truck and will it set a precedence and will vendors just start showing up to the park without permits, and do we need to have a special event permit for it? So somebody was requesting to have it, and one of the issues is like the pavilion. The pavilion's not rented out. It's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of tell people that you want to use it, but it is first come, first serve. So when you stake it out, it's like, do we want to have food trucks there? Do we want to have them allowed in our village? Do we need to set up a permitting process or a special event? That was just the very beginning of a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are we going to allow them? Is it going to be a thing? Because it's not like the HOAs. Sometimes in some of the neighborhoods they have food trucks come in
Yeah.
too, but it's for the HOA. It's on.
Yeah,
their
we had a
property,
food
so.
truck there for the safety fair one year, but it was like anybody that wanted to go get food. It wasn't like private.
Yeah, that was one of the different options. Like, yeah, if it's for a public event and it's open to the public, it's on public property too. That's
Yeah.
completely different than hosting a private event on public property, especially without a permit. Because then there's a whole entire issue of like liability. What if someone gets sick? What if the truck breaks down? What if, whose insurance is going to cover it? So if we don't sign over a permit for that, then the village would be taking on liability for a private event that we never sanctioned. So
Yeah.
so it opens up a liability is one of the biggest issues. So our conversation was just the beginning part of, do we want to allow it? And if we do, what do we need to look forward to keep us protected, but still, provide a service if we choose to, for people to be able to have that access. So we're actually covering that in the work session too. We're having an open discussion about it. So that was the big roundabout for that. Rest of it was just pay the bills and move on with their day.
Okay. And planning commission, no Paul, no document. I think we're good there. Comments from the board members.
So I'll make a quick comment. What I passed out to you guys was, I don't remember if it was your recommendation, might have been yours. This is an AI summary of the document that Jerry sent out. This is, you got your one pager here on the front, which is a little too condensed in my opinion. There's a 2-pager following that. So, but if you want to flip to the back quickly, basically from the aquatic weed management down, maybe this is something, we want to say, we're talking about what do we want to potentially put into a newsletter. This is some great actions that people can do at home in a short summary, and we can even condense that further and say, maybe we want to send that out in the newsletter and say, this is a great way to help the lake, Pick your top 5 or 10 things you want to say to people in bullets.
I also think that, a lot of what that was like old information or information that was like, I don't even know what the source was. It was like just pages of.
I think it was, yeah.
It was
that's-
pages of somebody's opinion. I don't even know where it came from.
I didn't honestly read it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I basically took the document, put it in AI and said, hey, give me a summary. And
Sure.
we got some readout here on the, situation at the time, and I know that's something we're doing differently, but this kind of stuff does not change, don't use your fertilizers 15 feet
Yeah.
from the shoreline, that kind of stuff. Things that reduce phosphorus intake and, weed removal timing,
Yep.
that's all good information.
Yep.
So, like I said, condense down to what we think is maybe useful, but
Yeah,
I'll leave
I
that to
just,
you guys
I
to
just
look over.
messaged Tabitha on when the newsletter goes out, because usually we would want to include information on our fair. If there's some stuff for fertilizer, we can put some articles together.
Sure.
It's interesting because I have like all the year-end reports, and like you could tell this is old.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
date reference here is
2003.
2003. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's definitely dated. So I won't say that this has any notion on,
Yeah.
current-
There's still good best practices embedded in here.
Yes, yeah,
Keep fertilizer away from the shoreline, right?
yeah.
Okay. With like the current trend, if you have the eutrophic, mesotrophic, and oligotrophic, we're like trending down, right?
2003, it was probably trending up. Okay. So I'll see if we get the date, if Tabitha replies when the newsletter is, so I can send out something that says, hey, guys, if you want, we'll put information about the sewer special assessment district in there, that we're starting that up. Anything else you want to put in there? Safety fairs, some other thing, whatever?
I feel too early for, like, talking about the canals or mucking or all that.
Oh, yeah. All right, any other topics? All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.